If YouTube were to collapse today, it's a big giant and there's billions and billions and billions of hours of content uploaded to it, who's to say that some kind of infrastructure thing doesn't happen and it crashes tomorrow and they're not able to get it back up for a long time? You, as a modern content creator, what do you do? Because I always say don't put all your eggs in one basket, but here's an example of if you are mainly a YouTuber and or like at the very least you do all three, but YouTube is your favorite, then what do you do? So we're going to talk about some alternatives, why you need to be prepared, and here are some ways you can start sowing the seeds of preparation in case this does actually happen. Theoretically, it won't happen, but you just never know. And the other situation of like back in 2019, there was the adpocalypse, and a lot of YouTubers lost their career because they no longer were able to rely on AdSense. Never rely on this one source of income, diversify, don't put all your eggs in one basket again. But I understand that some creators do rely on that AdSense to make their income, and that could be a decent part. Like that pays for their bills, and every other bit of income pays for the business, something like that. So let's go into some strategies here, and this is not going to be super highly edited. A lot of the raw videos seem to be doing well on YouTube, and honestly, I just need to get the idea out because I was thinking, hey, I want to help you guys in case something like this happens. This could be in any case. This happened with Vine, for example. A lot of creators, technically Vine dying was because of the creators, but that's a whole nother story. If YouTube were to collapse tomorrow, what should you do? Well, it also depends on what kind of content you are making. Are you a live streamer? Are you a short form creator? Are you a long form creator? Or are you all of them? And I always say, try to do all of them. I'm still learning live streaming right now myself. Something we've talked about in previous videos that I'm just going to quickly touch over are the triangles of content creation. The first triangle here, I can draw a triangle reverse on the camera, but the first triangle here is video, audio, and written. The second triangle is short, long, and live. Those are the types of content and the pillar contents that you create that allow you to understand, like, here is where I'm coming from. So I started as a long form blogger. Eventually, I started making long form video and audio. And then when TikTok came out and Vine came out, I was making short form video. And then now I'm learning live. That's generally the trajectory of creators. They start off from one, they move on to another one, and vice versa. And so Twitch streamers learn live, and then they learn they need to make short clips or long form VODs or something like that. And so you get the point there. Essentially speaking, figure out which content you are mainly doing and try to find a way to repurpose that content. If you are making YouTube shorts, well, then those videos can easily go to TikTok and Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, Pinterest of all places. That way you have some sort of backup of where your content is being seen, and you also get to syndicate and get more views anyways. Long form content's a little harder because there's not as many alternatives to YouTube. I'll name a few that I know of that you might not have heard before. There is Floatplane by Linus Tech Tips' team and Linus Media Group. That is essentially a paid platform for people to subscribe to, but I think you can also do free channels on there. It's just a little bit harder to get into if you're not a bigger creator already. I've tried many times, but that is a place where if you are a bigger creator, you can kind of set your name down. Another one is Nebula, which is kind of similar, where they have a separate streaming service that a lot of big creators have combined efforts into. Both are a little bit exclusive, but at least they have some good quality to it. And then there's places like Odyssey or DTube, which are decentralized alternatives to YouTube. I think Odyssey has the biggest potential to replace YouTube if that ever was the case, but even then, it's still pretty small in comparison. And a lot of these platforms that are blockchain based, they do get a little political or overly crypto bro or something like that. But it's a place where you can actually post your videos, and that's important. The other place for short form is, obviously I mentioned those, but think about how powerful TikTok and Instagram Reels are and how well your content might do there. If you're already posting there, then great. They might be willing to do longer form content as well. I know that TikTok on a few different occasions has pushed the 30-minute or even 60-minute mark on certain creators. They got rid of it within a week, but they pushed those features, and I think that could be a thing. Instagram used to have IGTV, which was up to an hour, and they might bring those back. And so you might have to switch from doing horizontal content like this to vertical, but at the very least, you can still do your long form content. And so there's really not many places where you can post long form videos. I mean, you could always do like Vimeo. Here's a shout out to Uscreen. If you feel like you don't want to rely solely on YouTube for income, you can use Uscreen to make your own Netflix of sorts. Now, this video is not sponsored by Uscreen, although, hey, Rob and all of you guys out there, you can hit me up. And the idea of creating your own video platform, I think, is very powerful. In fact, back in the day, there was a tool called specialproject.io. I think special.tv was their later URL, but they died out. Essentially, it was like a Substack for video. And so they would take 10% of your income, like Substack does, but it was a video hosting platform like Uscreen, and it had very little barriers to entry, so you could actually do stuff with it. However, again, they weren't able to make it through the pandemic. I think if they started just a few years later, they would have been solid. But places like that, I think, basically creating your own Netflix, I think, is a very powerful option. And you can even kind of use learning management systems like Thinkific or Kajabi to do that same thing. They're not as good as like Uscreen when it comes to presentation of your content, because Uscreen's closer to YouTube in the way that it shows off, or closer to Netflix in a way, actually. So these are just some ideas and platforms that you can use to save yourself the heartache of having all your videos in one place. Now, I'm still not quite doing this as well. This is kind of going back to the idea of backing up your content and all of your work, because if you are any sort of digital creator, you should have backups on backups and backups. I think there's the rule of three when it comes to backups. So you have an external hard drive with all your stuff, but then you also have a cloud storage backup. But then you also have an external hard drive in a separate location. And by having those three backups, if your computer dies or if YouTube goes down, you have a backup. Some people think that YouTube is the cloud storage version, but like that's not a safe option. Go with something, even Google Drive is a way better option than something like YouTube as your cloud storage. And so these are some things that you need to keep in mind. If YouTube were to go down, are all your videos on YouTube? Did you delete the files after uploading them? You might want to go and download them again, because you want to have backups in case something happens to them. Also, something that I learned from Linus Tech Tips is that sometimes you want to go back to old videos and use that as reference for current videos. So they had been doing it for over a decade now, it seems like, I think. And in doing so, they had content that they wanted to refer back to in recent videos, but they didn't have the source files anymore. So they had to download from YouTube. And so that's one of the things that they talked about, is like having backups for every video, even though it does start to get very big quickly. I managed to get a 5 terabyte hard drive for like $80 on sale, and by using special discounts and even a gift card, I managed to save some money on that. And so as long as you can find a way to do it, it's smart to have those backups. So having backups, making sure you have backup platforms, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and start to think about, if YouTube were not exist, how would that define you as a creator? That's it for today. Thank you.